Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Brooks. I'm your registrar and I'm also your Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs. What this means for you is that I handle two main functions for you. The first is the mechanics of getting through law school, registration, adding and dropping classes, figuring out if you're on track to graduate and actually graduating you, working with certificates, working with grades, working with rankings, working with a bunch of the different systems that we have here at the U of A. The other piece of my job as the Assistant Dean in Academic Affairs is to be your primary academic counselor. So what this means is that I help you make sure that what you're doing here in law school connects to both your interests and also what you want to get out of law school, namely your career, but there might be other things that you're hoping to get out of law school as well. So I'm the person who can help you with both of those things, just getting through law school. I also talk to our alums at points throughout their time in the job market as they need things verified, such as transcripts, diplomas, rankings, stuff like that. So I'm the person who can help you out with a lot of that stuff. I really look forward to meeting all of you. I want to welcome all of you to Arizona Law. I would like to introduce myself a little bit so that you know that you can really come to me with anything. I've lived in Tucson my entire life. I went to the U of A for undergrad. I went to the U of A for law school. I really love the U of A. And a big piece of, I went out into the job market. I was a public defender for several years after law school. And my heart just wasn't in it. I just knew I kind of had to be back at the U of A. So I came back here, and I love what I do, helping you all out. So I hate that I'm talking to you on a screen right now instead of talking to you in person like I usually get to do at orientation. But I look forward to meeting you, and I'm sure I will talk to all of you throughout law school. So what I would like to do for the rest of my talk here is I would like to show you around our website a little bit and show you some of the important academic things that are on our website. Here I'm at the main page. A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about today is under the academics tab with regard to the academic calendar. Now, we don't have the spring 21 calendar up yet. We will have that up as soon as it's available. We're just waiting on some clarification on some information from main campus, especially with regard to the pandemic going around right now. But we do have the fall calendar, so you can take a look and see what our holidays are. We do have a fall break period and a couple of other holidays, as well as your finals. I want to explain a little bit about two of these things. Normally, our fall break is a full week. However, it was shortened this year due to concerns about the coronavirus. So we've shortened it to 2 days. There's two primary functions that fall break does. One is that we just know in the middle of the semester, your first semester, you just need a break. Law school is tough. You're going to be working really hard. You just need a little bit of a break to rest your brains a little bit. The other thing is that law school used to be that you would take one final at the very end of the semester and it would get a count for 90 to 100% of your grade. We, and students especially, don't like that system anymore. And we want to make sure that you get more feedback throughout law school. So as part of this, a lot of your 1L classes will have midterms in the middle of the semester. Some of them will count toward your final grade, some of them won't. But the main function is that we want to make sure that you know exactly where you stand at the middle of the semester so that you can better prepare for your finals at the end of the semester. It was entirely based on student feedback that we brought this into being. And then the other piece is finals. You'll have 3 finals at the end of the semester in your 3 substantive courses. And they are spread out so that one's on Monday, one's on Friday, and one is on Wednesday of the second week. So there's a lot of space in between to study for finals. That is not enough time to study for finals just on its own. You need to be studying for your finals probably from week 1, where you're building your outlines and building other stuff. You will figure this stuff out, and we will be there to help you out with with a lot of ideas. And your 2Ls and 3Ls that are here at the law school will help you out with that too. Also on our website, under the academics tab, is this course schedule. We recently just had this built, so it only has a couple of semesters in it, but it's so you can search for all of our classes. There's not a huge reason to do that now as a 1L, but as a 2L and 3L, where almost everything you take is elective, there's a lot of choice. And before you register for classes each semester, you're going to want to take some time to look through and see what courses we offer. You can narrow it down by your degree program. You can narrow it down by what kind of graduation requirement you want to fulfill. You can narrow it down by some of our various different programs that we'll talk to you a lot about during your time here in law school. The other thing I want to make sure to show you, and that's highlighted through some of these programs that we have listed here, is our JD certificate programs. What those are is, there's 10 listed here, but we just added an 11th at the end of the spring semester. So there will be 11 for you. Different programs that you can take as a law student, where as a 2L or a 3L, you'll take roughly 18 to 21 units, 6 or 7 classes in a very specified, specific program. For example, criminal law. So instead of maybe just taking criminal law because you want to study up for the bar exam, you would take additional criminal law courses, such as advanced criminal procedure, such as public defense, prosecution, and adjudication, anatomy of a criminal case. We have a lot of different criminal classes that you can choose from. And what that allows you to do is graduate with a certificate in a particular area. The nice thing for that is that it can signal to employers, look, I've always wanted to be a lawyer in this field, and I can demonstrate that because when I was in law school, I focused on those classes. Now, you don't need to get a certificate. There's no requirement to get a certificate. For me, the criminal certificate was around when I graduated 10 years ago, and I didn't get it. And it didn't really hurt my job chances. I still was able to work for a criminal judge as my first job out of law school. I still was able to get a job at the public defender's office. However, I will say that if I did have this certificate, it certainly might have helped me on the job market. So what I would say usually is that if you know with some relative certainty that you want to go into one of these areas, then it's a good idea to maybe at least consider doing the certificate. I mentioned that there was an 11th in addition to the ones listed here. The new one is immigration law. So we'll get the requirements posted for you soon about that, so you can see that. But again, because you don't have a lot of choice in your 1L year, there's not a lot that you need to necessarily look into this right now. The other thing I want to show you is our intranet. So if you go up here on the top right of your web browser when you're on our website and you click on intranet, you'll get taken to this page right here. There's some there's something that you have to activate within the U of A system to even get access to the student intranet. And I do want to say, because this is being recorded for orientation, that you will likely not have access to the intranet until the semester starts, maybe a week or two into the semester, because we have to wait for the semester to roll over and for you to actually be students instead of just enrolled and matriculated students. So when you click on this, you'll get taken to our intranet. There's a lot of information here. We've put up some information about some of the COVID stuff that's available right now. We put up the student handbook, how to graduate when it comes time for graduation in the class of 2024, 2023. Marketing and communications with information on how to use the U of A's logo and the College of Law's logo. Bylaws for the entire college. Another link to course schedules here. The honor code, which I know that Dean Craig will be talking about. And a lot of different stuff. I want to focus on 3 things, though, in this box folder. One is the student handbook. One is the bylaws, and the other is down here under College of Law forms, our graduation requirements. I'm going to start with the faculty bylaws just very briefly because there's not a lot that you necessarily need to know or look into them. We have bylaws that govern the college. About half of this document is about how our faculty members get their jobs and tenure and in various committees and faculty meeting rules and promotion and tenure and stuff like that. But the second half of the document is academic policies and rules. If you take a look in the student handbook and you don't find an answer to something, sometimes you can find an answer to something in our college bylaws. You definitely do not need to read the bylaws. It's not required, recommended in any sort of way. But sometimes you can find something interesting in here if you're trying to do something really outside the box. And I can help you always figure out what the rules mean in here. So if you ever have any questions about stuff like that, definitely come to me. The one that you do need to know about is the student handbook. This is about an 80-page document. You don't have to read it cover to cover and know every single rule in it. But it's really important that you, at least as you're starting law school, to skim through the student handbook. The JD program itself takes up about half of the handbook. It talks about courses that we offer, required courses. It talks about how exams work. It talks, again, about degree requirements, which I'll show you an easier way to digest that information later on. It talks about how ranks work and how Dean's List works, and all kinds of stuff are in here. For those of you who are in orientation from our other programs, we also have sections in here for the LLM from IPLP, International Trade and Business Law, the General LLM, and the MLS program. We also have information in here about disabilities accommodations, which Dean Jordan Curtis can help you with, attendance policies, student and campus life, how to park at the law school, signage for the law school, where you can smoke, stuff like that. So there's a lot of information in here. You are required to know this information. If you run afoul of our rules, not knowing about them is not an excuse. Now, what rules are in here that you could run afoul of? Primarily just academic stuff. And what we have in here down in the policies of general application is about probation. For example, JDs, if you need to take a leave of absence for some reason, there's rules about that. If you have a medical issue, we have rules about that. And we'll walk you through that if that does come up. If you have a GPA at a certain range, you get put on automatic probation. These rules have recently changed, and we're going to have this handbook updated soon. So stay tuned on that. Amanda Bynum will, I'm sure, be walking you through some of those rules at some point, either at orientation or through the Prepare to Practice class. Now, the other thing that I want to make sure to show you is our graduation checklist. It's a one-page sheet that has all of the things that our JD students need to know to graduate. Each of the various other programs, LLM, SJD, and MLS, may have other forms as well. Now, for our JD students, we call this the lemon form. You'll always hear it referred to that way. It's just kind of what it's picked up over the years. What it has is a list of all your required 1L courses. In addition to the ones that you're taking this fall, we also pick all of your classes except for one for you in the spring. In the spring, you'll take criminal procedure, you'll take legal writing 2, you'll take property, you'll take con law 1. Con law 1, what that covers is powers, it covers federalism, it covers just the structure of the Constitution and a lot of other stuff. You'll continue on preparing to practice, which is a full year course. But in the spring, we also give you an elective that you can choose from among usually about 8 to 10 courses. Those can include business organization, family law, which are bar classes. It can include things like bioethics, so a little more outside the box. Very businessy courses like antitrust, immigration law. There's a wide variety of things that you can choose from. Now, that's your 1L year. But once you hit the 2L year, almost everything is elective. There are a few things that you have to do while you're here in law school. You have to do evidence. You have to take professional responsibility, which is basically ethics. You have to do a substantial paper. There are 4 different ways to do this, and I will talk to you a lot more about this as you approach the 2L year. However, what I will say is that it's a roughly 25-page paper, either scholarly writing or an appellate brief if you do advanced legal writing. Sometimes it can be on a topic of your choosing if you do the scholarly writing. And sometimes you can do it through one of our 4 student publications. These can be quite prestigious on your resume. So a lot of students opt to do it this way. However, some choose to do it either with the structure of advanced legal writing or the comfort of being sure that you can just work with a professor one-on-one. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. Like I said, we'll talk to you a lot more about those rules and how you can fulfill that later on. Other requirements that you have to fulfill while you're here in law school: 6 units of experiential courses. Those are courses that practice the art of being a lawyer. Basic trial advocacy is a classic example where you're getting up in one of our simulation courtrooms. When we're not during the pandemic, sometimes those are in the building, but sometimes those are in courtrooms that we rent in downtown Tucson. So basic trial advocacy is a great example of that. Contract drafting, for those of you who are more interested in being transactional lawyers, is a classic one that students take. It's a very popular class. It's the first one to fill up every registration period. There's a number of other classes, usually about 30 a semester, that count towards fulfilling this requirement. The 88 total units to graduate. That means you roughly need to take 14 to 15 units each semester to graduate on time. Some students, so that they can have an easier 3L year, or put themselves in a position so that they can do the February bar exam during their final semester of law school, will take extra units either in the summer, or they'll take extra units during the fall and the spring of their 2L year to put them on track to do that. In your upper division, 37 graded units. That's during your 2nd and 3rd semester. If you're an AJD, that actually gets reduced down to 19 during your 2L year if you're only going to be here for 1 year. You have to have a 2.0 or better GPA to graduate. And you can ignore this requirement because it's virtually impossible not to get it. Also on this sheet, there's certain limits, certain caps on how many clinic units you can do if they're graded, how many independent studies you can do, how many classes you can take outside the College of Law at the university, and so on and so forth. And then the other thing that I do here, it's something that I talk about in my counseling appointments with students all the time, which is we have a lot of bar classes that show up on the bar exam that we don't require you to take. It's a good idea to take a lot of bar classes while you're here so that when you sit down to study for the bar exam, you're not learning, for example, Con Law 2 from scratch. It's hard to learn the First Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause all in the space of about 3 days. So it's really, it's important to take a lot of these. You certainly don't need to take all of them. Some of them are a little bit easier to learn during your bar study period, but a lot of them are quite important, both to your practice as a lawyer, perhaps, business organization. If you're going to be in corporate law, you absolutely should take business law organization. If you're going to be a family lawyer, why wouldn't you take family law while you're in law school? So certainly there are a lot of classes that you're going to end up taking just because you're interested in them or because you want to take them. That's just a short overview of a lot of the various stuff that I help you out with here at the law school. It's hard to overstate how much choice you're going to have later on. It's almost a blessing for 1Ls, I think, in some respects, that you don't have to choose your classes and figure out all of this stuff, because all that we expect of you right now is to put in as much work as you can in rewiring your brain so that you can start thinking like a lawyer, so that you can really understand the cases that you're reading, and so that you can understand the arguments that you're going to be making in class during the Socratic method. So With that, I'll go ahead and wrap up, let you move on to other orientation bits and pieces of orientation. My virtual door is always open, although with the pandemic, I'm a little slow in responding right now, but I'm always happy to chat with you and answer any questions that you might have, even if it's just about, hey, I don't like my apartment. Where should I get my next apartment? I'm always happy to talk to you about anything at all. It's, especially if it has anything to do with video games, 3.5 million points to whoever can figure out what video game this is from. Anyway, it's great to meet you all, and I hope to see you very soon in person rather than virtually, but I can't wait to meet all of you, and welcome to Arizona Law. All right, bye-bye.